Now, it looks like Britain is heading into a recession. How deep and for how long, nobody knows. Politicians hate to appear too gloomy. They don't like to talk the economy down. But is it time one of our leaders made a really honest speech, one that admits how sick our economy really is? It's something being talked about on internet sites and blogs on both sides of the political spectrum. So, is absolute candour something we can stomach? Here's the Politics Show's Giles Dilnett.
I got sad news this morning.
When it comes to the nation's current financial health, we are hearing words being bandied around like credit contraction, liquidity restraint, total asset seizure, and you don't have to know what that means to know that doesn't sound good.
I got sad news this morning, people.
But politicians seem to want to screen us from the reality of just how bad things might be, under pressure not to talk down either us or the economy. Well, now there are calls from both ends of the body politic for doctors Brown and Cameron to cut the bedside flannel and tell us how it really is. Meet Matthew Taylor, former advisor to Tony Blair, and Tim Montgomerie, editor of ConservativeHome.com.
So, gents, why is it the best policy to tell me the worst?
There's one worse thing than really bad news, and that's fear. What we're suffering from at the moment is fear, so it's better to tell people bad news than for them to carry on panicking.
Politicians have still been saying, right until the economic crisis bit, we can keep spending. Well, they can't. I think the first politician who says the good times are over will make a special connection with every voter out there.
It's only when people believe what you're saying about the situation that they're willing to accept your diagnosis of what the treatment needs to be.
So, gents, how bad is it?
Things are bad. The way that we were living before, we cannot carry on living. It isn't a short-term illness and we're going to take some antibiotics and get over it. This is a chronic condition that's going to last some time and we're all going to have to change.
It's clearly very bad. And we've lived too long on debt. We've lived too long on extreme increases in public spending. All of that is over.
So do you think Brown's conference speech this year should have looked a little bit more like this?
No ifs, no buts, no small print. People on middle and modest incomes need to look after themselves through the world downturn.
So is that a bit too honest?
Well, the problem with Gordon Brown is that he looks like he's giving us bad news, even when he's telling us something good. So it's going to be hard for him to get this message across. So that's too harsh. But he is going to have to tell us that things have changed.
Well, that's pretty bleak. I mean, isn't there any better medicine?
I think we can get through it, and I completely agree with what Matthew said. Once people have been told this is the reality, then the fear is gone. They know what they are going to face. And so, as well as the candour that people want from their politician, they actually therefore want, on top of that, this is the plan, this is the treatment that will get us out of this. It's going to be a tough treatment, but you will live for a better day.
We can get through this. And in many ways, if we do get through it, we might get through it to a better balanced economy and even better balanced lives.
So if they want us to tighten our belts, what kind of sacrifices are they going to have to make?
Government has to demonstrate that whatever its aspirations might have been for, I don't know, increasing places in higher education or a national strategy for play or whatever it might have been, they're going to have to sacrifice some of their priorities, even if it's just for 2 or 3 years, in order that every resource and every bit of effort is concentrated on things which help to tackle the economic condition we now face.
Actually reducing the number of ministers and reducing ministers' pay would be the first sign, I think, the first sign to the electorate. We're going to make sacrifices just as you have to make sacrifices too.
So if you'd both been writing their speeches, maybe they'd have come up with suggestions like this.
Just as families have to make economies to make ends meet, so this government must sacrifice the educational maintenance allowance that help poorer students.
We will need to do difficult and unpopular things for the long-term good of our country. There is a simple truth for times like these. What the country requires and what the times demand. Let us get rid of low taxes.
2 suggestions there. A policy he doesn't really want to give up, but we've suggested he is, and higher taxes. Can you see either of them going for those kind of things?
I don't know what the particular suggestion should be, but I think Gordon Brown's going to need to look as though he's willing to go up with something that people know that he cares about, because that's not absolutely central to the core task, which is battling this recession.
Can you see Cameron putting up saying it's so bad, we've got to put up taxes?
I think that would be like some leader of French cooks saying that the English cook better than the French, telling a Tory conference that the era of low taxes is over. That's too far. In a way, we need low taxes to get us out of this recession. But perhaps looking further into the future, it's not going to be so easy to cut taxes.
You see, these guys are absolutely convinced this idea would work for their respective leaders, but I'm not so sure. I'm still persuaded that if you're the harbinger of bad news, the voter punishes you. I want a second opinion.